All right. So today I will be showing you the behind the scenes of creating captivating content. So we'll see how that's. Let's try it. Okay. So let's do this. Let me make it bigger. View, zoom. Oh, that is pretty zoomed. Okay. Best practices. Excess brand nodule example. How do I do that? Oh, what? SharePoint. Sign with the account. Oh. Oh, that's why. Click here to sign with a different account. Huh. Interesting. What is going on here? All right. Let me just fill this out to the best of my abilities. Captivating content. Pick the top 4 or 8 and put them in the order. So first, most important thing is figuring out your unfair advantages. Next one is a survival mechanism. Essence. Ways of being exercise versus doing. Essence. What else? Writing out your mission statement. Okay. And then writing your eulogy, legacy workshop, exercise. What else? What was helpful for me? Oh, I gotta charge my phone. Okay. Oh. What else is important? Deep relationships. Here, let me go this side by side. Make this closer. Okay, cool. Wim Hof. Short term. What is the big central insight that you must have about this pillar? So pillar 1. Let me use some ChatGPT to help with this. Chat. What are essential steps to help oneself when we are being particularly hard on ourselves? Okay. Oh, the figure. Okay. So first one is disempowering contexts. First we need to figure out what is the story we are telling ourselves that is not serving us. Okay. So it could be identifying and challenging negative thoughts. Brainstorm. Okay, so the brainstorm could be we need to figure out what is the narrative we are telling ourselves. Some common ones are, I don't have a college degree, I'm not good looking, who will listen to what I have to say, I didn't go to a good school, I've been fired from 4 different jobs. I don't have to be creative, I just have to be conduit of great content. Parallel construction. So that could be a good one. Let me make a good content here. Okay. So a good post could be, let's do this. BBG 1 pillar point 1. I don't have a good degree. Brainstorm. Inverse construction. People overestimate what could be done in a year. So brainstorm could be once we reverse our negative self-talk, then we will be able to thrive and even excel. So it could be, once I was able to squash that I was a horrible husband, boyfriend, son, brother, friend, employee, then I was able to break that cycle and choose a different path that's much more empowering and supportive. A linear construction. Reputation precedes. Okay, what's another way of saying? What is another way of saying using a linear construction? Okay. Turning our self-talk from negative to positive. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. In order to change from negative to positive self-talk, we should create a brag book and write down all of the accomplishments. What are your proudest achievements? What do people say about us? When we aren't in the room, most people underestimate the power of their impact in their communities. We aren't the best at giving ourselves praise because of the survival mind is always looking for threats. If you confuse, you lose. Huh. Automation is to your time is what compound interest. Oh. So what's a catchy way of saying once we start to love ourselves unconditionally, then anything is possible. Huh. Once we start to love ourselves unconditionally, then anything is possible. The world embrace yourself without limits, then the world becomes limitless. What are some other ways of saying the statement above? Compelling stories. Write in the stories that you have. Tell the most. Oh, the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. The deepest pain I had to overcome, the pain of realizing that I am good enough, and that my dad leaving ultimately had nothing to do with me, but he was just struggling himself to try to find himself, and less focused on me as a teenager and just being with difficult life that he had to go through. When self-love knows no bounds, every dream is within reach. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna put some of these. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. What else? Love yourselves limitlessly, then not watch the impossible. Self-key. Ooh. Oh, oops. I can preset this for tomorrow. Okay. With self-love as your compass, every horizon is nav. Ooh, that's good. Uh, 15th. Affirm yourself without reserve. Limitless self-loves. I like this one. Put this one here. Good quotes. Unleash. A heartfelt self-embrace opens doors to infinite possible. Cool. What has been your biggest victory? Shares 300 plus podcast episodes. Building community. Being able to share the gifts of so many talented people in my life. Publishing books. around redefining masculinity, despite thinking that I am not capable of creating such things because of my insecurities with having bad grammar and poor reading / verbal scores on the SATs. I'm not doing well in school, but still being able to get into LinkedIn, which is extremely competitive. What's been the most unexpected tragedy that you had to deal with? Can you rewrite this in the hero's journey to post on social media? Cutie. Alright. What is the most unexpected tragedy that you had to deal with? Being laid off from my last job was very difficult. I took a chance and I accepted a job despite having multiple job offers. I became an account director at Fortune, which is most famous for the Fortune 100 rankings every year. Through that layoff, I was able to understand what most people go through at some point in their lives, which is that at the end of the day, we are all expendable. It helped confront that until I went into business on my own, I cannot trust that others will ultimately have my back, that everything is business at the end of the day in corporate America. Huh. Interesting. Let's try this. Hey. All right. Anyways, back to this. Brand DNA, self-love. All right. What's the hardest thing you ever had to do? Hardest thing was to finally open up my heart and met my beautiful wife, and I kept distracting myself, and I kept running away because I thought I was unworthy of the unconditional love that she was giving me. I was self-sabotaging myself. I was self-sabotaging myself without even knowing it, because I thought that having more career success would mean that I am capable of being loved. What has been your most heartbreaking loss? Losing friends to death is always hard, because these were people that I used to hang out with a lot. Dave Lynn, Tyrone Miles, who was one of my housemates. But the biggest heartbreak actually was losing my dad. He left one day without saying a word, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I do miss his love, but I was denying myself to be able to feel, because it was so painful. Once I realized that he is on his journey, and just to be happy for him, I found myself not judging him for the decisions that he made, and also found that I started being kinder with myself as well. What's the scariest thing you've been through? Oh, wait. Oh, next week. Oh, okay. What's the scariest thing you've been through? Actually, what I'm going through right now is the scariest thing, because it was so comfortable having pretty steady, consistent income with a pretty solid sales career, with money that many people would be grateful to have, but then dropping it all to start my own businesses. It's been a wild ride, and honestly, the best 12 weeks of my life, but also the scariest, if I'm being truthful. Being able to say no and realize that not everyone will be a part of the journey, and that people come and go, but that's just life. What's been the most heroic moment? Being able to stop the people pleasing and say no has been extremely challenging. The the pleaser in me loves to say yes to everything. I just love humans and humanity in general. But then I realize that I need to take care of myself and be selfish as well to have a strong self-love practice. What's your biggest failure? Did you butt dial me? Uh, oh, did you? Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's everything?
Good. How are you? The FaceTime was a mistake. I'm driving.
Oh, I figured you butt dialed me, but okay. So now works to chat then?
Yeah, that works to chat. I have about a 30-minute drive.
Oh, okay.
How are you?
Cool. It's been a lot of ups and downs. It's been crazy. Finally took the leap of faith and started my own company, so that's been interesting.
Oh, you left the last place? What's the last?
Yeah.
I know you were in. I lost you from LinkedIn.
Yeah. I've had a lot of different jobs since then. I I was in like tech sales or like B2B sales like most of my life. And then I recently, like as of like 11 weeks ago, decided to take the plunge and like start my own business.
Cool. Doing what? Coaching?
Yeah, coaching.
Coaching individuals, coaching businesses, kind of coaching.
Yeah, so that's the part that I've been trying to figure out. So I guess because the context of like most of my background has been business, I'm starting to realize like, oh, maybe I should do more business coaching, right? Because in the beginning, it's just like, all right, I'll just take whatever revenue like comes my way, you know. But the last 7 years, basically like around the time when I first met you, like I started doing like one-on-one coaching as like a side hustle for a while. And then so I've been doing that on and off, and depending on how busy like my full-time job was, like it was very like a lot of ups and downs. And then so I as of like 11 weeks ago, this is when I converted over to like doing it like more on a full-time basis. But yeah, it's definitely been challenging. I think part of it was because like I wasn't sure like what my focus is, and then now I'm like, okay, it's to help people be able to connect with themselves internally, like to be able to love themselves unconditionally. So the problem that I'm solving for is like self-criticism, like people that are being really hard on themselves. So that's through a combination of like the content, the mastermind, the one-on-one coaching, and then now I'm starting to realize like perhaps I should be open to business coaching because, well, one, they have like the budget for it, and then two, like that's just like naturally like a lot of my community and the people that I have relationships with are in the business world.
Right, and since you've been doing business coaching already, right? Haven't you been doing business coaching?
I
thought it was more sales.
Yeah, I was doing more sales, but I was selling for like training development / coaching related companies. So what I was selling was like, let's say a company's like, hey, I'm trying to do some diversity, inclusion, and belonging training. Like, what do you guys have in regards to that? And it's like, everything from like unconscious bias to, how to write better business emails, like how can I improve my business acumen, like stuff like that. And then so I did that for a few years, and then I ended up selling for a company that was like think like Uber model, but with connecting business coaches to like companies that were like, so it's like hey, I have like 50 women that are like I want to promote to senior director and above. How can you support me? And then like by them taking the assessment, it's like, okay, based on what you filled out, like these are our recommendations. So that was like the other half of the business sales that I was doing, like a lot of in the coaching world.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought you were just selling something. I didn't know what. So, okay, all right. So you decided to do it on your own.
Yep. So that's been
That's
interesting.
great.
Yeah.
Listen, I know I started a business with no money, so I understand. It takes courage to do that.
yeah. So I figured you would have like you'd be like the best person to kind of understand what I'm going through. Um, so I think I finally am able to find some clarity, like do a bunch of workshops and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it's been tough. So I created my campaign that I'm doing is to connect with like 150 people that I'm the closest with, and then I created like a GoFundMe to try to fundraise like $100 like per person to kind of help me as I like transition in this like new endeavor that's more of a passion than what I was doing before. Ultimately,
Got it.
yeah.
Awesome. And so do you have any clients yet, or like how do you get clients? What's your plan?
Yeah, so
Plan?
yeah, so I have like a lot of clients, and then this is what I realized is like, all right, like there's a difference between like being like a social worker and being like a business coach, right? So I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the, and I'm sure some of it was like the energy that I was like attracting as well, was like I was helping like people that were coming from like abused families. I didn't have a parent growing up, so I was like adopting like all of these like, don't get me wrong, like incredible people, but they were paying me like barely like anything, right? So I wasn't able to like make as much money from it. So I'm starting to realize like, okay, like how do I target like the people that I actually want to be working with versus like, the I guess like the low hanging fruit and like a lot of the referral people that were like reaching out to me. So much more earlier on in their career and people that were ultimately like career transitioning. So because of that, they were like in between jobs and they weren't able to like pay me. Some of it was pro bono, and then some of it was like a pretty low rate. So I was getting paid, but definitely not enough to like actually have a business out of it. So I'm about like halfway through creating my courses and all that, and I have like the marketing funnel with the email stuff. So like I finally have stuff, but it's definitely as like in making courses and doing a lot of this stuff, it's like very confronting. So I'm not gonna lie, like some days I'm like on a roll, I'm in flow state, I'm like this is amazing, and like I'm helping people with so many amazing things. And then some days I'm like, oh my god, this is like very confronting. So it's been like a lot of ups and downs for sure.
Yeah. So you know what question I'm gonna ask you, right?
What's that?
Think about me. Think about how you know me and team. What question do you think I'm going to ask you?
Are you talking about being on team?
No. No. I got that you completed team. I think it would be phenomenal for you to actually do team 2, because what you're really creating is a team 2 game. But what is the question that I would ask anybody that's going out and doing something that's a new adventure?
Oh, a business plan, you're saying?
I asked for a business plan, but really, do you have a game? You created a game in the world.
Yeah, I have one. It's definitely not gonna lie, I'm resistant to like milestones and like concrete deadlines or concrete like dates. But I do have one for sure. I haven't shared it with like as many people, but it's definitely on my computer. Yeah.
So you know that without having a game in the world, it's really going to be very difficult to do this, right?
Yeah.
Because the only way to create even with a business plan, even if you did it the traditional way with, shit, I went the wrong way.
Oh no.
Goals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You still have to have milestones. You still have to have dates. You still have to create deadlines for yourself, because you have nobody. You're accountable to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
If you don't create your own sense of accountability, you're just going to be floating in the wind.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that's what I was doing for like 10 weeks, and then I finally created one with milestones. I can send that over to you if you think that would be helpful.
Well, I think I'd be happy to support you with creating a game in the world.
Yeah.
And a game in the world it's just creating a structure for fulfillment for your game. What's the outcome? Where do you want to be at the end of the, say you want to do it for between now and December 31st. Where are you landing on December 31st? Where are you standing? By December 31st, I have, I don't know, 100 businesses as customers. Or whatever it is. I don't know what your plan is, but
Right. Okay.
I promise you that the technology for accomplishment, including the game, the structure for fulfillment, works in real world. It is not just something that we did for play on
TV. That's fair. That's true. Okay.
I've proven it.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've proven it many times now.
Right.
And it's the best way to, in my opinion, it's the best way to stand in a future fulfilled and unfold what had to happen and what had to happen, and it keeps you in integrity. When you're you don't have a boss who's going to tell you, Davidson, where is that, you promised to have 10 conversations on Friday and you didn't have them. Where are those conversations?
Yeah.
Or where are those reports? There's nobody but you. You're the one.
That's so true.
It's very funny that I forget what day you texted me to talk, or you called me. It was last week Monday last week.
Yeah.
And that very afternoon, I was on the phone. I was talking to Michael Hennessy about, something about work. And he said, I was thinking about Davidson Hang the other day. How is he doing?
Oh.
I said, that's funny that you should mention Davidson because he called me and I haven't been able to talk to him.
Oh.
And so we got to talking, and one of the reasons why we were thinking about you, why he was thinking about you, and I think about this a lot.
Yeah.
Remember that day? So I was the Landmark Forum accountable, so that means that I was in my third quarter of team. So you were in your second quarter.
Right.
And you registered on a Friday afternoon 6 people into the forum. 6. In one day. In one afternoon, actually. And the fact that was a miracle is, remember that. That's a miracle. You registered 6 people that day. The other part that I remember is that JP and I had a conversation about you. Because that quarter, my promise for the forum was 30 registrations. And remember that at Classroom 2, we were able to, and I was the accountable, and at Classroom 2, we had the ability to revoke a promise newly. So if your game was not going well, if you weren't going to meet the final outcome, you had the chance to revoke a promise newly. And so at Classroom 2, I had 18 registrations. I had 18 registrations. Now, before I promised 30, by the way, when we were in the weekend, I wanted to promise 20.
Right.
And everybody was going, no, it's got to be more. I said, okay, fine. Go up to 25. And then somebody was like, no, it's got to be more. I think it was Catherine Ray. And I got all pissed off. And I got like a jerk. And I actually yelled at her in the meeting. And JP had a conversation with me afterwards. He says, I have never heard you act that way. I've never heard that from you. I said, I was just as shocked as you were. I've never behaved like that in public with anybody. And I restored integrity with Catherine and all that. But JP said, if you don't want it to be 30, that's fine. I'll take what you offer me, but give it. I request that you give it some thought. I said, fine, I will sleep on it. I promise you I will sleep on it, and I'll let you know tomorrow morning. So the following morning, he called me before we got because it's the weekend, right? So it's early in the morning. I called him. And he said, and I said, I thought about it. I slept on it. My promise is 30. He said, are you sure? You don't have to. I said, no, my promise is 30. I'm standing on 30. So I promised 30. At Classroom 2, we had 18, which means that we were halfway through the quarter, and I'm nowhere. I'm like barely over the half. We only had a few weeks left. And so JP thought that I was going to revoke and promise newly. And he's going by and like he's asking everybody, and everybody's revoking and promising newly. And he says, Derlise, what about you? I said, no, I reclaim my promise. And he said, really? I said, yeah, really. He says, are you sure? I said, I promised 30, JP, and I will deliver 30. I'm standing on 30. I'm not moving from it. And I stuck to it. And that week, that's the week that you registered 6 people. And after the quarter was over, we ended up with 27. Right?
Yeah.
We didn't get the other 3 because I didn't inspect the what so. Had I inspected the what so earlier, we would have discovered that the 3 people that were missing, she had 3 people that she could register. And had I inspected earlier, we might have been able to complete those registrations somehow. But I wasn't paying attention to the what so. So that was lesson number 1. And then after the quarter was ended, JP and I had a conversation, and he said, you know, Derlise, I don't have any evidence to prove this, but I firmly believe that Davidson registered 6 people in a day because you stood in that promise of 30. And that created the clearing for additional registrations to occur. And you didn't meet the 30, but damn it, you got to 27. So what I'm saying to you with this, 1, look at the impact you have in the world, Davidson. And 2, when you stand in a promise, and you stand in a promise, and you stand in a promise, and stand in that future fulfilled, that's what moves the universe. That's what moves the stars, like Werner says.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
That's my offer. Create a game. Create a game of distinction. Unfold it.
Yeah.
And you'll get what you're looking for.
I love that.
And if you're half-assing a business plan, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for presencing me. This is totally a story, but it's definitely been a rough year so far. Definitely been confronted more than I've ever had. And I feel like I've grown more than I've ever grown as well, right? Like you said, like...
I'm sorry, I lost you. You were also what?
Oh, I was just saying, it's interesting because like every entrepreneur has this, like when they start their own business, but everyone has said like, yeah, like the journey and the battles you have within yourself when you start your own business is it's going to be interesting. So, so stay tuned to that. So, but
it's all you.
Yeah. And then what you said about, like accountable with myself, right? I think that's a key distinction. I definitely think, before having managers, having a lot of people to, there was just a lot more structure, right? So it was more focused.
There's nowhere to hide when you're in your own business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't show up, you decide that today you're not going to make any calls and you're not going to be in action. You're just going to lay in bed and, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You're just going to go out and, play video games or hang with your friends, whatever it is. You're, But if you create a game, if you create a structure for fulfillment that has promises, and in your case, I would say daily promises.
Yeah.
Then you know when you wake up in the morning and you know that this is what I promised to do today, and I'm going to do it only because I said so.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
What is it? What are you getting from this? It sounds like something is
Yeah, I definitely think I tend to over course correct a lot, right? So I'm always like, oh, like Davidson's story is Davidson's good at doing. So I was like, all right, well, let me just focus on the being. And for like the last year, I would say I'm like, all right, like I'm definitely like trying to shift more of the energy towards like the being, which which is good. And
Yeah, of
that
course.
and then in somewhere along the line of over course correcting, I was just like, all right, well, let me just like forget everything I know, which is like you said, like I think in the past, like what I did excel at was like being on the phones, like calling, like being with people. And then since I had this rude awakening like a week ago, I've just been on the phone like constantly and it's been like amazing. I'm like, wow, like I feel connected to my community again. Like I'm serving, like this is great. But it's, I would say I've had like maybe 6 months or so where I wasn't. I was like isolating. I was like definitely not in a good place and just just like you said, like just chilling, right? Like not really focusing on growing the business or I was doing the wrong things. I think that was it. But to your point, that's because I didn't have a clear game in the world. I didn't have milestones. I didn't want to commit because I think in the past, like I was too focused on that. And now I feel like I've done the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, who's calling me? I don't even know. Yeah.
So you could what you can do if you choose to is you can create a game in the world, and one of the milestones in that game in the world is creating a business plan because you need a business plan anyway, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna borrow if you're gonna borrow money or have people donate or invest in your business, they're gonna want to see a business plan.
Right. That's true. Yeah. That's a good point.
You know who's really good with business plans?
Who's that?
Um,
Michael Hennessy?
Josh.
Oh, Josh.
Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael's very good at them too, but Josh is very good. That's what Josh. At least the last time I talked to Josh, his business was coaching businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh and I have stayed in touch. I think we're on a very similar path, like a very similar journey. Yeah.
Have you
Huh.
talked to him about what you're doing?
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, usually we were keeping in touch every week, but we haven't lately. Not as much. Hmm.
Have you thought about the idea of maybe I'm just spitballing here. Maybe having a conversation with him about doing some business together.
Yeah, now I'm starting to see that might be a good idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is literally what he is doing. Coaching businesses, creating businesses,
Yeah.
empowering businesses.
Yeah. I do think we would complement each other well. Like our skills, we have definitely some different skill sets. So yeah, that would make sense actually. I've been resisting that.
Why is that the source of all this resisting, sweetheart?
What's the source of it?
Yeah.
I think there's certain aspects about Josh that makes me like.
Oh no, no, I didn't mean that. I get that. I meant I thought you said that you were resisting. I don't know, being in conversation, being in communication.
Oh, okay. No, we do communicate pretty regularly. Except for like the last like 3 weeks, but before that we were like chatting every week. Um, yeah, I'm seeing that there's certain aspects about that's like for whatever reason it like triggers me, but I see taking 100% responsibility. It's like stuff within myself that I'm seeing. Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you to go work with Josh or anything. I just thought of him because you guys are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think he's so structured that I'm like, maybe this would be good. Um, yeah, I haven't thought about it like that because he has asked me, and I was a decline. So, um, that's interesting. I should. I mean, it doesn't hurt to at least have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally have a conversation with him.
Yeah. Okay.
Who else are you in touch with that can be support?
Oh, I mean, I'm like getting back in touch with everyone actually. Like I've been on the phone like every day, so that's been good. But it's been only been 2 weeks, so this is like a relatively newer. But a lot of folks from team, um, yeah, some folks on team two. Well, now they're on T2, but they were T1. Um, and then folks from my men's group, and then folks that I've been in sales with as well. Like a lot of my old coworkers. Yeah.
And who is your coach for your business?
I have a guy named Ian Kodiak that I've been working with. So he's definitely a few stages ahead of me. So yeah, he had to cancel a couple of times because of some weddings or some other stuff that has come up. But we have a bunch of calls like scheduled. But it's just been yeah, it's been interesting.
How's your wife?
She's definitely, I would say, probably the most. I think it's like hitting her. She's like, "Oh shit! Like you created a GoFundMe. Like that's not good." you know. So that's been interesting. But at least I see because she's like, "Hey, like, is this what you want to be doing?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I've never been happier. Even though yes, this is the most stress I've ever had in my life. But in terms of like fulfillment and purpose and like enjoying my day to day, like this has been amazing. Like clients get to cry in front of me and like I get to recreate them. Like this is amazing. Like this, it's like everything I wanted. And so she so that was good to be able to communicate that with her because I don't think I've ever like outright have said that to her.
She didn't know how much you like to make people cry.
I mean, she probably knows. I think she she definitely knows, but I don't think I've outright have ever said that to her though.
You're just teasing. Just teasing.
Yeah.
So this is great. I'm glad that you're discovering what you want to do, what works for you in terms of a business, in terms of fulfillment and satisfaction.
Yeah.
It's really great. I acknowledge you for being in discovery.
Thank you.
I do. So why are you going to create a game?
Yeah, I've done 70% of the work, so I just need to like complete it, right? So by Friday at noon, I would have a like whole and complete work around my game.
You started with the domain?
Yeah. I did it like I did my version of it, but it's not like fully fleshed out. It's like still has milestones that I need to input. So but I started like my version of it.
So I invite you to actually create it in distinction.
Okay.
It's like, hi doctor, I broke my leg. Can you please fix it? And the doctor says, okay, you have to, put it up here, and we're gonna put a cast on it, and you're not gonna walk on it for 5 weeks, and then we're gonna put a soft cast, and then you'll be able to walk with a boot. And you say, okay, great, and then you go home and you take off the cast and you do it your way.
Yep, that sounds like what I do typically.
Okay, so I invite you to create a game following the technology for accomplishment because it works.
You wouldn't happen to have it handy, right? Like
Of course I do.
Okay. If I give you
I told you, I use my structures. I use a structure for fulfillment in all of my gains in my life.
Okay.
I used it to get a new job. I used it with my writing. I use it with my other business. I use it with my life. I have a game for everything.
Okay, if you don't mind sending that to me, I just texted you my email address. I would love to take you up on that offer, that request.
Okay, I'll I'll send you a spreadsheet. I
Okay.
keep it on a spreadsheet. You don't have to keep it on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You can keep it on anything that makes you happy, but as
Yeah.
long as it has all of the elements in it, then
Yeah.
create a game. And it works best if you create a game with somebody. You want somebody that's going to be on your team, because the point is not to create a game that you play by yourself. The point is to create a game with a team.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
So who's on your team?
Yeah, I mean, sounds like Josh could be a good one. I know Edwin is on my team. My friend William, Larry as well. So William and Larry are my two business partners.
Oh, you have business partners.
Yeah. So,
So I thought this was your own business.
Well, so just for context, I have two businesses. The life coaching is one of it, and then I actually started my own like IT consulting franchise.
Oh, okay. So it's another business.
Yes.
Okay.
So that has a business plan, right? Because like obviously I have like business partners, so that's like a bit more formal, but that's closer to what I've done most of my life, which is more of like the B2B, like business development / tech sales world. But the difference is like it's like my own franchise, so at least I get to choose like which conferences I go to, so it's a bit more like I have more of a say in things, and there's like a playbook, where I mean, yeah, you totally get it. It's like I'm sure you're familiar with like franchises. Yeah.
Okay.
So that I think actually will probably be more of the bulk of the revenue will be coming from that. At least that's what I think, just because it's like less skills I have to develop there versus like this is like a completely new business where I was only doing it part-time, but now this is like I'm spending a lot more time doing this business, both businesses.
Okay, great, cool. I will send you a sample structure for a blank structure for fulfillment, so that you can.
Thank you.
Complete.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Amazing.
So, are you enrolled in Standing in a Future Fulfilled, or do you think that that's just malarkey?
No. I mean, just to, like obviously, if it wasn't for you and Julie inviting me into the world of TMLP, like I wouldn't even be doing this as a full-time job. Like I wouldn't be having coaching conversations with people crying, viscerally, like because I'm able to be with them, right? Like, so like this is all like because of your invitation, I think because I tend to over course correct, like in general, right? With a lot of the things I do, I think I was so focused because I was planning out like 50 years ahead of my life, where I was like, hey, these structures are going to help me fulfill on these goals. And in some ways, like that did happen, all the conferences, all the travels and all that stuff. And then now I'm just like, okay, well, why don't I do that with like my actual coaching business? But I think I was just like in this weird world of like, well, let me just like manifest and I'll visualize it and like things will happen. But so I think I over course corrected a little too much, like specific to my
coaching. So if you want to manifest, whatever, you want to meditate on what you're manifesting, by all means, go right ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah.
Sitting on your front lawn, meditating on what you're manifesting and not taking any action, you're not gonna get anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Tony Robbins says that himself. You can sit there and meditate all you want, but it's not going to come to you.
Yeah.
You actually have to be in action.
Yeah. Well, I was in action. I was just doing the wrong types. I was doing the wrong actions.
And I offer you a suggestion.
Yeah.
Give up the word wrong. You were just taking actions that weren't effective.
Okay.
Because wrong implies wrong making, and you're judging yourself, and you're making yourself wrong. So just erase that. Just take that out. Remember, stop, notice what's in your listening, and give it up.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that you took an action and it wasn't effective. Now you know that that action isn't effective. Now, okay, so what can be effective? What is it?
Mm.
You know, and then take another action.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you. This has been awesome.
I hope that was a contribution to you.
It's always a contribution to be with you, Nerlise.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Contribution to be with you.
If you and Julie Tran wouldn't have called me, this would have been like a 10 years later thing. So I'm glad that
Exactly.
you were able to accelerate this, the inevitable.
Cool. Glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that was good for you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm almost at my appointment.
Okay.
I'm going to pay attention to the streets here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
I'll send you that thing. I saw that you sent me your email. I will send you an email with my
Perfect.
line structure.
Thank you.
All right, my dear.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. Oh shit. Did I not even realize this was on the whole time? Oh my god, that's so crazy. Well, that's fun. All right, so I have 9 minutes, so let me continue what I was doing. What's been the biggest failure? Share my screen. Biggest failure is taking so long to see my greatness. I always had glimpses where I was able to bring people together, facilitate all of these incredible conversations around diversity, inclusion, and belonging, vulnerability, the men's group, facilitate being not present with my mom, my dad, my sisters, my family, being in my head too often instead of simply just being with people. All of it, and embracing the humanity that comes with being a human being. What's your most embarrassing moment? Crying social media in front of thousands of people is always humbling. I always think no one is listening or watching this, and then I get humbled when so many people reach out to support. Just the thought makes a difference. Even if it's challenging for me to show myself to the public like that. I cry when watching romantic and sappy shows all of the time. I probably cry every other day. That's how untouched I am with humanity. What's your most life-altering decisions? Stepping into accomplishment coaching, a year-long personal program designed to help you grow your coaching business. Has been the best decision of my life. It led me down the path of putting myself out there to support people to reach their goals. It helped me realize how passionate I am about self-improvement and sharing openly about the journey to build community, to show others that it is possible to be vulnerable, especially in a business context. What has been the most profound lesson you've learned? Profound mindfulness. When we are present, everything is better. Water tastes better. Relationships are much more full. Our lives become what we possible. What's the biggest mistake you've made? List your stories below. How can I illustrate this visually? Behaviors, routines. Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay. The biggest mistake was to my lack of impulse control, not being able to think long term and making pretty life-altering decisions in real time. But actually, in signing up for Ian Koniak's courses and all of the other amazing courses I've been through, I've spent a lot of money investing in myself, and that's all paid off. But sometimes it is scary to spend that much and to have faith in the universe and in my own abilities. Being able to double down on my business seems like a mistake right now, but I know long term it will thrive. As I continue to work on adding value with everyone I come across, even if it doesn't make sense outsiders who do not see in investing in / coaching programs. Okay, cool. This is good. All right. Okay. Help me write this that's LinkedIn friendly. Most profound lessons I've learned. Huh. Okay.